Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included in our Ultimate Base 2.0. As you know from the previous episode, we have finally reached the plastic stage and therefore a whole other world opened up to us. The status at the moment, we are slowly but surely running out of polluted water, and we also have an overflow of germy, polluted and fresh water. Well, it's not that fresh if it is germy, but you know what I mean. There's even some more, but it is also full of germs, so I thought this could be the next thing to actually take care of. Just have a simple enough cleaning system to be able to reuse all the germy water. Before we actually do that, there are some more things I want to take care of. First and foremost, taking apart the insulation layer of the previous base. Actually thinking about it, we might want to wait a little bit until we have moved everything. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this layer in place. Just in certain instances, I'm gonna start taking it apart so we can keep on expanding. For instance, right here, I would like to see the ladder system continue. We're gonna make a connection up to here and have another set of ladders, doing some more digging and clearing up the world. At the same time, we will also be getting some more access to sulfur, and in the process we might also unveil some more of the planetoid we're on. Also down here in the cellar, I wanna kind of continue this system, finally getting all those juicy materials in the joint. But yeah, there we go. That should be enough work for the time being. So now I'm not gonna run the risk of anyone idling around. Before we get to the cleaning part, I would like to move my water source to a more permanent space, and I decided I want to attach it right at the bottom of the base, and next to it, using the cool steam vent, we're gonna have our first active water production. Now I believe I would like to see this built out of ceramic, since it is going to be a permanent installment, and the way we're gonna do this is probably up to this point. So all of that up to the steam vent is going to be our permanent water storage area that we're gonna try to keep as clean, full and at a low temperature as possible. Yeah, this essentially means I just have to build this first, then slowly pump everything over, and then I can go ahead and build the attachments. What I already know is going to be the case is we also have some ceramic tiles here. Actually, I did not have enough materials for this. Okay, that is slightly disappointing. However, we can fix that easily. Just craft some more ceramic, which should go fairly automatic at this point. Right in this place, I would like to have my pitcher pump, and next to it, we're gonna have 3 storage bins, once again for the polluted dirt, as well as everything rotten and the bleach stone. Actually thinking about it, I might want to have a ladder first, then the pitcher pump, and then 3 storages, and then I'm gonna have an additional storage as per usual for the liquefiable materials. Also, if I'm not mistaken, we should have some more gold tiles, not too many, but it should be enough to brighten Otto's day, our cook. Frankie managed to get himself trapped, and the game didn't let me know until now, even though he already soiled his suit, and he seemed to have slept in this place. Frankie. We're gonna go ahead and, as an emergency, build all of these ladders. Hopefully Frankie will be able to do it immediately. Frankie, come on. So now we actually want to be a little bit careful with Frankie, since he's gonna make a mess right now. Wait, this should be full of poop now. I thought when they soil their suits, once they take it off, there's gonna be a mess. Anyways, I would like to see some more effort put into this project, please. Thank you. And then we're also gonna reroute our power cables. They're gonna go down at this point, and they're gonna move all the way over to our eventual pump. As the top layer for our new reservoir, I would like to go with some mesh tiles. Actually, maybe for the time being, we wait with those and just finish these. I guess at this point, it's time to move over the water to its new location. I have to be a little bit careful. Looks like I'm gonna get another duplicate trap this way. But there we go. Water is flowing. Wonderful. That means I can copy over the storage bins, maybe even move them already. 3 of them like so. And then 1 is going to be the liquefiable storage. So I can go ahead and deconstruct these. Oh, and check this out. We already have our 5 incubators with the Draclet eggs filled up. That's really good news. In 1,000 cycles, we're gonna have endless plastic. Looks like we now have enough room to start expanding this a little bit. I'm gonna go up to this point, get a bigger holding area going. And yeah, I guess I'm gonna progress with that project a tiny little bit, and then we're gonna see us in a couple of cycles. Alrighty, we are back. It is a bunch of cycles later, and as you can see, I've moved the entirety of our water pool. I also changed around the pipes, so they are much more organized this time around. The bypass of the aqua tuner is now coming all the way down here. I've also been using some radiant pipes in order to transfer the heat a little bit better to the hydrogen. Instead of normal pipes going through the carbon dioxide, it is then going up on the other side, joining back into the liquid reservoir. I've also set the sensor to be 20 degrees or minus, so whenever we are higher, it is going to use the aqua tuner loop and then filling up the reservoir until we have reached the temperature again before the loop continues. In order to help out with the oxygen production a little bit, I also started pumping out the entirety of the base where my duplicants are in atmos suits. Slowly, I will have to change that because we are actually running out of pressure for our farms. I might do this right away. Let's disable this pump here that was just helping out with the oxygen production because we were lacking a little bit in the atmosuit docks, which we are still at this moment. A grave mistake I made is some duplicants actually brought over the polluted water to our bottle emptier here because I didn't have it set to sweep only. Grave mistake. Anyhow, my suggestion right now is to make an easy germ cleaning system, and I'm actually going to try something different than the previous two series. In the first series, if you remember, we did something with automation and cycling the water within one reservoir. In the second season, we used a string of reservoirs in order to clean the water quite efficiently. That is probably the fastest solution. And today we're going to try something with timers. We have access to these cycle sensors and I believe we should be able to make use of them. The first thing I want to go ahead and set up is a mechanized airlock on top of which we install the liquid reservoir. I will also have to exchange this tile again because we cannot have any gases in here. That's probably the first thing we're actually doing. Yeah, let me go ahead and do this first. We just want to make sure we have a nice and clean vacuumed out room. And instead of pumping out the air, I'm just going to fill this up with tiles now. Right here, I want to install a quick liquid lock. So that's another thing we want to prepare. There it is already. If I'm not mistaken, we should have some salt water available to us in order to fill this up. I now sometimes have idle duplicants because we don't have enough atmos suits with the necessary oxygen. So in due time, I also want a Rodriguez in the joint. Basically a mega oxygen factory. Also, you can see by now we have finished the transit tube and we accumulated almost 2000 kilograms of plastic, which is actually tempting in terms of interstellar research since we need lots of plastic to do the research. And so far that was the only thing I was really missing. I think I'm gonna leave the liquid lock at that. That should already be enough, at least for our purposes. Once we have this built, we don't really need to access it anymore until we actually take it apart. There it is, all completed. We just want to make sure the liquid lock stays intact and the rest we can actually take apart. Wonderful, everything remains a vacuum. Let's now execute the plan. We wanted a mechanized airlock right there. On top of that, we wanted a liquid reservoir. This is where we have to input stuff. Now, let me see. Yeah, we should be able to do this easily. First of all, we're gonna need an input that I'm gonna set up right here as an insulated pipe. And then at some point, maybe at this place, I would like to set up a liquid shutoff right there. Actually, let me move this guy one more over. From the liquid shutoff, we're gonna make our way into the liquid reservoir. And using the door, we can prevent anything from getting out of the liquid reservoir, but it will still accept the intake. If we then fill up this room with a whole bunch of chlorine, everything inside of the liquid tank is gonna be freed of germs. Chlorine is a very fast germ killer, but only if the liquid is inside of a reservoir. Everything inside of the pipes is not going to be cleaned up, which is why we have to make sure the input is completely shut off. Once all the germs have been cleaned in the liquid reservoir, we want to exit it and then possibly go through another shut. Let me actually think. Yeah, I guess we would want another shut off in order to determine whether or not this is pure water or polluted water. Alternatively, we could just use a liquid filter. Considering we have way more than enough power, I think I might actually do that. Yeah, the liquid shutoff and the sensor would be much cheaper in terms of power, but I don't think in this particular case it's gonna be worth it. So instead, what we're gonna do is have the output right up into this filter. If we detect polluted water or water, we're gonna come out of the orange slot. And everything else is gonna come out of the green slot. So we have our two liquids ready right there. Let's assume this line is gonna be the normal water and then this line is gonna be the polluted water. Let me actually do it like that. So we're just gonna go ahead and output these like so. One is gonna come down here, the other one there, both of which are temporary, mind you. So let's say this one is gonna be the water version and it's gonna hop over here and just being input into my tank. The polluted water on the other side will have to travel all the way down to where I'm producing my oxygen at the moment. Next up, we're going to need a whole bunch of cycle sensors. These will basically output a green signal for a certain amount of time during the cycle. What we basically want to achieve is open up this liquid shutoff for a certain amount of time, let's say a third of the day. At the same time, this mechanized airlock is going to be open, so the liquid reservoir is only going to intake but not output. We're then going to use another third of the day to let the germs be killed, and then the last third of the day we're going to let the water get out, being filtered into the polluted and normal water pipes. We can actually go ahead and connect this pipe and disconnect it maybe in this place. Actually, right now the input isn't hooked up to anything, so we can have everything connected. Never mind, just forget what I said. Editing, Nathan, don't include that. Dude, he never listens to me. Anyways, another thing I'm gonna get prepared is a little pump here that is very temporary. All I want is my chlorine. So chlorine is gonna be pumped in here, and we want to prevent anything bad happening. So let's set up some automation for this. Gas pipe element sensor goes right there with a NOT gate and a little bit of a cabling action. Wonderful. We should also be good actually using this cable here. Wonderful. And of course I did it where we have a whole bunch of chlorine hanging around at the moment. Okay, seriously, my biggest problem in efficiency at the moment is that I cannot fill up these atmosuit docks. I thought we can solve this problem temporarily by adding a sublimation station. This is going to use polluted dirt in order to create polluted oxygen. So all we theoretically have to do is set up a bunch of deodorizers here, maybe on the right and left as well. And this is going to fill up the base a bit more so that I don't have to waste the oxygen for the base and it can go directly into the atmosuits. We've also progressed a little bit into the building process here. I decided to set up a power transformer because for the mechanic airlock we need a normal or conductive wire anyways. Well, I guess technically we don't even have to power this up. You can actually also open up mechanized airlocks without power. That's just going to be slower. There we go. Sublimation station is going for it. We shouldn't be having any issues in terms of polluted oxygen, provided that the deodorizers are topped off at all times. This machine is also going to stop at maximum gas pressure, but overall we should be able to distribute the oxygen fairly quickly. There we go. I think we're ready to pump up the chlorine. Wonderful. We're not going to need a lot of it, like 1 kilogram per tile is already going to be enough. Less will probably also do. There we go, that's going to be more than enough chlorine. We can go ahead and take this apart again. Let's now think about the automation for the cycle sensors. We want to open up this liquid lock for 30% of the daytime. So we are going to connect this to the first cycle sensor. At the same time, we also want the door to be open. In order to open up a door, you also have to send a green signal. However, we're going to do this with the second cycle sensor. So this green signal is going to come from this sensor. If we set this to 66% of the day, that basically means the first 33%, both of these are going to send a green signal. Then this one is going to go red at 33%, but this one here is going to stay green for another 33%. And then finally, in the last third of the day, this is also going red, which means the door is going to close and the output should be open while this liquid shutoff is still closed off. If this was confusing, it will become clearer once the machine is running. Our activation time for this can be at 0% of the day cycle, and it's going to last for 33% or so. The second cycle sensor can also be at 0%, but it should run for 66%. We could also round it up to 67%. And then this last bit of the day is going to be utilized to empty the liquid tank again. And that's basically all we need to automate this. So a fairly simple concept, and we now used 3 methods in order to actually kill off germs inside of liquids. The way this is going, I think I want to shut off the last 3 atmosuit docks again. Just have enough for the amount of duplicants we have. But man, we do need a better oxygen creation system now. I'm also gonna move my cots upstairs because Frankie is just sitting around here using up the precious oxygen in the atmosuit. Okay, I think for now I'm gonna try to solve this differently. We have tons of extra air inside of the base that I'd rather have in my atmosuits. A little bit of a pain in the butt so far, but that's just what we have to do right now. Actually, I have a better idea. I'm just gonna disable the atmosuit checkpoint for a little while. I mean, they still survive outside of the base without an atmosuit right now. And that is at least gonna allow me to get things going again. The liquid filter is in place. Right here is the filtered liquid, which is currently going to the polluted water. So that's what we want to filter out. Where are you? Right there, polluted water. And then I guess we should be able to take advantage of that. The first thing I'm gonna do is actually take my output from the toilets. I might have to rearrange this a little bit so that I can actually drag it through here. Let me go through here and then up. So this right here is going to be my new connection and everything right here can go. Next up, we also want to pump out the water we have in here. That's going to go over there into this pipe as well, which is the input pipe to our cleaning system. We're going to need a little bit of power. Wonderful. And there we go. We're starting to pump out the germy water. It's now going into the liquid shutoff. However, at this moment, the liquid shutoff is turned off because it is already the second third of the cycle and the water cannot continue. So in the next cycle, we're actually going to allow the water inside in order to get rid of the germs. In just a little bit, we will also see this going red. Wonderful. And the door closes, which would allow some liquid going out. Looks as though we already had liquid in there for some reason. Maybe just to be completely sure, I'm gonna activate this at 1%, the liquid shutoff. So we have a little bit of time in order to open up this door without any complications, just as a security measure. It's probably not necessary. It is a new cycle. You can see the water is happily entering the liquid reservoir, and we're halfway in the process here. It is now almost done. The door should still be open, and if we have a look in here, we can see the germs are being killed off for both the water and polluted water, and we theoretically should have given it more than enough time. Yeah, absolutely wonderful. This is just so beautiful to look at. The germs are now completely gone, and we still have a little bit of time left. Yeah, just to be sure, I'm gonna leave it at those settings. I almost missed it, but the polluted water is now flowing out, and since we leave it as much time to flow out as we did to flow in, it should be emptied completely. But even if it doesn't, it's still going to work. That's what I wanted to see. More polluted water. It is time to build more liquid reservoirs here. Get this filled up once again. As for this contraption, I'm actually just gonna enclose this, and we can kind of forget about it. All we have to do is input all of the germy water that we have in our world into our input pipe. Actually, let me go ahead and replace this with insulated tiles. I left the game running a little bit in order to accumulate more polluted water, and I also reactivated the atmosuits, as you can see here. We also have much fewer problems to keep this open now because I cut off certain pipes. The sublimation station should be taking care of those. This also means we don't need that temporary setup anymore. I can get rid of that. I really like to get rid of things. Just always feels better to work in a clean environment. One thing I almost forgot to mention is if you feed the glossy draglets these bristle blossoms, they will slowly but surely have an increasing chance of laying draglet eggs instead of the glossy version. We can see, for instance, this guy right here already has a 35% chance to give me the wrong type of egg. This, however, is not too much of an issue. You can see this guy already lived for 78 cycles, no problem. However, in order to not let this get out of hand, I decided whenever I have a adult glossy draglet in my incubation farm, I'm going to wrangle it up and kill off one of the older dracos in my base. We might want to switch over back to mealwood in order to prevent this from happening. If we feed the meal lice, it is also worth thinking about making natural tiles, plant the meal lice with pips, so that we don't need to use up our precious dirt. Okay, so far so good. The biggest problem is that the atmosuits are worn so quickly and then they lose all of the oxygen, which is the biggest factor right now why the atmosuit docks get empty every now and then. But it looks as though we have it more or less under control again. Okay, I think it's time to keep on crafting. I want more gold amalgam so we can slowly but surely finish the base. There's still lots to do, guys. But one thing I can almost promise you is that in the next episode we're gonna have a look at interstellar research. I wanna get this research out of the way so we can think about something else and make the proper permanent systems, including visiting other planetoids finally. But you know, for me, the ultimate base is not a speedrun as mentioned. It is having everything under control and having nifty systems in place. We can see my germ system is still doing its thing, except we hold the phone. Is that oil? In this case, I should be able to mop it up, as crazy as that sounds. May? Wonderful. That's what I'm talking about. Another thing I would like to do is set up a conductive joint plate right there. So this is going to be hooked up here instead. This is going to allow me to set up a door right here. And then also we want to go ahead and set up drywall. Once again, the drywall doesn't really have a functionality in this case. I'm just using it for all the rooms that I consider a permanent setup, and it just makes them look a little bit nicer. Okay, I think slowly but surely it's time to wrap up the episode. What I would like to do is set up another sublimation station. So I'm gonna copy the design over here on the top side. And this way I can cut these pipes all off in order to give all the oxygen to my atmos suits. I'm not 100% sure why nobody is actually repairing these, so I set the priority a little bit higher just temporarily. We just received another snazzy suit. Now, who actually deserved this? Let me think. I believe May. She's been taking care of all the critters all this time and nobody really took care of her. Yes, I love how they work together. These are the best moments. Since we're using up our polluted dirt, I kind of want to track it. Right now we only have 22 tons. I was hoping we have a little bit more. So officially my next goals are gonna be the research and then switching over to a Rodriguez oxygen production design. This also means we have to tap into at least one cool steam vent in order to resupply our water. I kind of postponed the Rodriguez design because I was happy this is actually functioning, but we would have to do it at a much larger scale. And since we can now do cooling systems like crazy maniacs, it shouldn't matter anymore. Speaking of cooling systems, we should now implement the cooling for the base. Yeah, I don't see a reason why we should wait with that any longer. So I'm gonna use granite pipes in the beginning to do that. Eventually we want to upgrade to the radiant pipes. Also, we could think about leading the pipes through each of the floors. I believe it is going to be enough to just lead it all the way around. So if we do something like this and that, and then we can rejoin the pipe right here. So we're gonna send one packet over, one packet down, which means every second packet is gonna be filled. Therefore, I should be able to reconnect these like so, and it should work like a charm. This is not only gonna allow me to cool down the base that is slowly heating up, but it's also gonna allow me to heat up this part, for instance. It's still a little bit too cold for this briar seed. I would also like to set up a little holding area for liquids we don't have any use for, such as the oil, maybe the occasional salt water and brine. Wow, that actually went fast. So crude oil, we are gonna keep brine and salt water in here. I also prepared pumping up the last of the water that I could find on this map. Other than that, we're actually done. Come on, somebody build the pipe. No, thank you. Well, let me at least finish the sentence, man. Actually, never mind. We still need to build these. Yes. Okay, we're done. That means the loop should be working now. Every second packet, as mentioned, is going in a different direction, which should be plenty. This can then just go ahead and loop around. We should be seeing this heat up and cool down respectively. It comes all the way back into the loop. Yes, and it's gonna fill up the pipe perfectly. That's what I like to see. We're now cooling down the farm, which is working phenomenally, as you can see, and we should also be seeing this change sooner than later. Great, okay, I think at this point we're gonna wrap it up. I know it might not seem like we've accomplished a lot today, and I know a lot of you want to finally see the interstellar research, but again, definitely been working on this episode for a little while, but I have a really good feeling about the next episode. Well, I would say with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time, and hopefully I'm gonna catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.